Daniel Cormier has finally spoken out after facing a wave of backlash that has dominated MMA headlines all week. The former double champ, known for his technical insight and no-nonsense takes, found himself under fire after criticizing middleweight champion Khamzat Chimaev for relying too heavily on double-leg takedowns. It wasn't just Chimaev's fanbase that turned on him. Cormier's comments snowballed into a full-blown debate over how takedowns are counted in modern MMA, and whether DC, a man who built his career on wrestling, was being hypocritical. Things escalated when he went a step further, questioning the accuracy of Merab Dvalishvili's all-time UFC takedown record. Cormier claimed the numbers might not be tracked correctly, a comment that instantly triggered the MMA community. Fans were quick to point out that DC had no problem accepting Khabib Nurmagomedov's stats when the Dagestani legend landed a record-breaking 22 takedowns in a single fight. Too many. It sounded like Cormier was taking selective shots, and they let him hear it as criticism poured in. Cormier finally jumped on Twitter to clear the air. His tone was defensive but firm. He wrote, "I'm not mad at his take. I'm just saying, I've always not quite understood how they score them in MMA. I still don't believe Khabib got 22 takedowns." It wasn't exactly an apology, more of a clarification, but it was enough to reignite the conversation. Meanwhile, Merab Dvalishvili stayed focused on his upcoming title defense against Petr Yan, which could mark his fourth straight defense and cement his place in the history books. But for Daniel Cormier, the noise wasn't dying down. He took to ESPN's Good Guy, Bad Guy alongside Chael Sonnen to explain what he really meant. During the segment, Cormier broke it down with the kind of conviction only he could deliver. He argued that the real problem wasn't with Merab or Khabib or even the wrestlers themselves, it was with the way MMA tracks take. The MMA takedown is a problem, he said. The way they score MMA takedowns is the problem. A takedown should be when you go to the mat. A takedown should not be when you get back up and the guy picks you up and just puts you back down. He never lost control. To him, repeated mat returns shouldn't count as separate take. They called me in, he continued, describing a meeting with officials who track fight statistics. I sat with the people who do the takedowns and I still walked out of there going, well, it ain't a takedown. You're not going to convince me. They should get us in the room. Let us tell them what a takedown is. He even added that Merab likely didn't score 20 takedowns but closer to 5 or 6, with the rest being mat returns. For Cormier, the debate was about technical integrity, but for fans, it became personal, a question of whether one of the sport's most respected voices had just undermined a hard-working fighter's achievements. Still, as the dust began to settle, attention in the MMA world shifted from controversy to shock, and it came from a completely different corner of the sport. Brendan Allen had just delivered one of the biggest upsets of the year, defeating Reinier in a fight that flipped the script entirely. What began as a dominant first round for the Dutch contender quickly spiraled into chaos. Ritter looked confident early on, pressing forward, securing dominant positions, and smothering Allen with control. But somewhere between the end of the first and the start of the second, the tide changed completely. Allen adjusted his rhythm, found his timing, and began out-grappling one of the most decorated jiu-jitsu practitioners in the division. The moment Ritter's energy began to fade, Allen smelled blood. By the end of the third round, RDR was visibly gassed, his face drained, his body language defeated. In a shocking twist, the Dutchman quit on the stool before the fourth round could begin. It was a moment that stunned the MMA world. Reinier wasn't known as a quitter. He'd survived brutal wars before, staying composed even when battered and bloodied. But this time, he had nothing left to give. Brendan Allen, on the other hand, erupted in celebration, not just because he won, but because he had done so convincingly. And when the adrenaline wore off, he wasted no time calling his shot. Speaking with MMA Junkie after the fight, Allen made it clear. He wants Khamzat. I speak grappling fluently, he said confidently. His wrestling's really good, obviously, but my jiu-jitsu is really good too. I think I have a great outlook for that fight. I've got the best minds and the best guys to help me prepare. Full camp for sure. I'm ready for anyone in the world. Allen's confidence wasn't misplaced. His performance against Ritter showcased patience, intelligence, and control, the traits of a fighter on the cusp of elite status. He explained his mindset in the fight, revealing that he anticipated Ritter's early pressure. I knew if I get him down again, I'm going to get him off. There's no way he could keep that pressure he was trying so hard to maintain in the first. There's no way he can keep that for more than 2 rounds, let alone 5. So I stayed smart, stayed composed. I speak grappling fluently. But Allen wasn't the only one speaking up. In the aftermath, the MMA community erupted with opinions. Dana White praised Allen for his performance, calling it a career-defining night, but he didn't hold back his criticism of Ritter either. He looked slow tonight, White said. He got out, looked like he had trouble dealing with Allen's speed. Fans were even harsher. Social media filled with comments labeling Ritter a quitter. Khamzat Chimaev himself chimed in, mocking him on Twitter and calling him a BS guy who gave up. The irony was thick. While Chimaev was still recovering from his own controversies, he didn't hesitate to take a jab at a fellow grappler. The loss left de Ridder's future uncertain and shifted the balance of the middleweight division. Allen broke into the top 5, putting himself in a position where one more win could secure a title shot. But as always, in a division this stacked, nothing is guaranteed. And just when fans thought the MMA conversation couldn't get any crazier, Joe Rogan dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the sport. On his podcast with Andrew Schultz, Rogan boldly declared that a Jon Jones vs. Alex Pereira fight could be the biggest event in the history of combat sports. Not just MMA, all combat sports. It was an outrageous claim, but Rogan made a compelling case, with Pereira openly hinting at a move to heavyweight and Jon Jones preparing for his long-awaited return. The fantasy matchup suddenly felt tangible. The idea of the greatest fighter of all time facing one of the most destructive strikers to ever walk into a cage had fans in a frenzy. It's hard to argue with that logic. Pereira has climbed divisions like a man possessed, destroying world champions with surgical precision. Jones, meanwhile, remains an enigma, a legend who's done everything there is to do but continues to chase new mountains. The thought of those two colliding inside the octagon feels almost mythical. And if the UFC really wanted to break every pay-per-view record ever set, this might just be the fight to do it. As all these stories unfolded, one thing became clear: MMA is entering a new chapter. The sport is bigger, bolder, and more unpredictable than ever before. Legends like Daniel Cormier are being challenged by the next generation. Rising contenders like Brendan Allen are proving that resilience and strategy still matter in a world obsessed with hype. And dreamers like Joe Rogan remind us that the magic of MMA lies not just in what happens inside the cage, but in the limitless what-ifs that fuel its future. What do you think? Was Daniel Cormier right to question the way takedowns are scored, or did he cross a line? Can Brendan Allen really hang with Khamzat Chimaev if they meet inside the cage? And would a Jon Jones vs. Alex Pereira fight truly be the biggest in history? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more daily MMA coverage, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment from the fight world that never sleeps.